Hey everyone! Rainy old England has been uncharacteristically warm these past few days, and it's got me thinking about holidays. Which is annoying actually, because the place I work is in the middle of this lake, which kinda looks like the sea sometimes, and I was sitting there eating my lunch staring at this lake thinking, oh, I have gotta get me a plane ticket out of here. I love travelling and I've been to some pretty wicked places, but I think every family has that one story that they just love to retell about the worst holiday they've ever been on, ever. And I know I do. So I thought I'd share it with you guys so that next time you're on a family vacation thinking, I'm bored, this place is stupid, I want to go home, you can watch this video and realise you're not having such a bad time after all. So without further ado, here's the tragic tale of my family's ill-fated trip to Menorca. Disclaimer, the views expressed in this video relate to my unfortunate personal experience only, not to Menorca as a place in general. If you are from Menorca and find this offensive, then you may be mistaken or possibly stupid. Okay, so I went to Menorca when I was 15 with my mum and two of our friends, and instead of going with the usual hotel scenario, we booked a private villa. And no, we're not rich posh people, it just happened to be reasonably priced. So we had our own place and a pool that only we were allowed in, and it seemed pretty cool apart from the fact that there were bugs everywhere. Which I guess you'd expect from a hot place like that, but it was a bit overkill. I'm not just talking like flies and mosquitoes, there were woodlice and ants and insects we'd never even seen before, and they weren't just like chilling out in the corner of the room either, they were falling on us and showing up in our beds. One night there was a particularly weird insect that looked like some kind of winged snail, and it came through the window, buzzed menacingly across the room, and then totally recreated that thing from Looney Tunes, where Wile E. Coyote runs off a cliff and then looks down and goes, uh-oh, and then comedically plummets to his death. It just zoomed into the wall and kind of hovered there for a second and then fell into my mum's bed. Also, the pool was awesome, except for the fact that you couldn't really swim for more than 2 seconds without coming nose to nose with a wasp just casually floating in it, so that wasn't good. But bugs aren't that bad, so it's only a minor inconvenience. Another minor inconvenience I had, for a reason that still escapes me to this day, is that about halfway through the holiday, my entire shoulder and arm came up in this really bizarre rash that I've never had before or since. It could have been the heat, but then I've been to hotter places than Menorca and stayed out in the sun all day and never got a rash, so I have no idea. And apparently, neither did the doctor we spent ages looking for. So I had to spend a large chunk of the holiday putting weird smelling cream on my arm and wearing an extra layer of clothing which made me even warmer to keep the rash out of the sun. But again, minor inconvenience. Let's turn the disaster dial up a notch. The villa we were staying at had some kind of farm behind it because you could always hear hoofbeats of people riding horses in the morning, but we soon discovered that there wasn't just horses on that farm. One day we'd gone out for a nice adventure and came back to find our entire property covered with sheep. It turns out there was practically no fencing around the field behind our villa, and so the sheep did a magnificent job of escaping into our villa and hanging out on the porch, eating all our plants, drinking out of the pool, and naturally we couldn't find the owner of the sheep, so we had to herd them back into the field ourselves, which was even harder than it sounds. And this happened multiple times. Okay, sheep, no biggie, we got rid of them in the end, nothing too crazy. How about this one? Hands up who likes getting up early in the morning on holiday? No one. Well, we'd booked a boat trip for the next day that left very early in the morning and we had to get up at 6 AM. Ouch. And the same day we booked this trip, we also went to the beach, and it was the usual scenario where you have to pay for a deck chair ticket because the beach is super busy, but we decided to leave before our time was up because we had other stuff we wanted to do. So we did the kind thing and gave our deck chair tickets to someone who just arrived so they didn't have to pay for their own. So we carried on with our day and then got up at 6 AM the next morning for the boat trip. You can tell where this is going. My mum had managed to mix up the tickets so that the people on the beach got our boat tickets and we were stuck with a bunch of useless expired deck chair tickets. So after forcing myself to get up early, we didn't get to go anywhere. So far on this merry adventure, we've had bugs everywhere, disgusting rashes, sheep invasions, and needless early morning get-ups for boat trips that didn't happen. I think you'd be a bit annoyed if that had happened to you in the space of a few days, but still not that drastic? Let's see what happens if we turn the disaster dial up another notch, shall we? One day, since it was so warm, one of our friends had gone for a bath to cool off, which was pretty standard until she went to unlock the door and the entire handle fell off in her hand. There was no way of unlocking the door, and naturally we tried to boot it down ourselves to no avail. So we rang the lady we were renting the villa off, and she gave us the number of the handyman that she hires to fix things. So we called him explaining the situation, and he said, "It's my day off." Yeah, but our friend's literally trapped in there and we can't. No, day off, not coming. The daft only refuses to come and help, so we have to find the local locksmith who can bust the door open instead. Our poor friend was trapped in that bathroom for a grand total of about 4 hours, trying not to panic while we passed drinks and food through the window, which of course was too small to climb through. Great way to spend your holiday. And finally, as if all that wasn't enough, we come to the piece de resistance of the whole thing, the episode that really made the holiday go out with a bang. So, one evening, around midnight, we were all sat out on the porch playing cards, drinking sangria, enjoying the nice view of the moon, nothing abnormal going on, when suddenly, out of nowhere, there was a terrifying crashing sound, and then the lamppost on the street outside our villa just went whoomph straight over, swiftly followed by our hire car, which had been parked next to that lamppost, flying through the air as a cascade of broken glass showered into the swimming pool. We all nearly had heart attacks. It was just so loud and violent, and we had no idea what had happened, so after the noise had died down, a couple of us went to investigate. Turns out some absolute douchebag who was completely wasted on drugs crashed his nice expensive Mercedes into our hire car, turning the back of it into scrap metal, and taking out the lamppost in the process. It was a proper hoo-ha. The police showed up and started questioning everybody, the neighbours were peeking out from behind the curtains, we had to go through the whole process of convincing the car company that it wasn't our fault and can we please have another car? And the dude's just sitting there in his wrecked Mercedes with the bonnet all concertinaed up, smiling away. He was off his tits, didn't know what day it was. That shook me up. I mean, imagine if we'd have been in that hire car. And not only did we have to deal with all the legal stuff, we'd only just cheered ourselves up from all the other crap that had gone on. And we couldn't use the pool while we waited for someone to come and clean the broken glass out of it. And thus concludes the tale of my worst holiday ever. I'm sure Menorca's a great place, but we didn't really take in much of the good stuff considering we were constantly being annoyed by incident after incident. I mean, I know it's not exactly the holiday from hell, no one got seriously ill or injured or anything, but still. Going on holiday is always a risk, and usually a couple of minor things go wrong on any trip you take, but how unfortunate were we to have all that crammed into 1 week? At least all my other holidays have been pretty much disaster-free to make up for it. So there you have it. If you ever find yourself on holiday with your folks thinking, I am bored off my tits, I'd rather be sat at home on Tumblr, at least you're not surrounded by sheep, trapped in a bathroom, or getting your car destroyed by a drugged-up Spanish guy. I hope you all have awesome holidays, and if you have any awful scenarios like mine, or worse, why not let me know and we can all join together in a big display of fail. See you next week, guys.